Hi friends, welcome to February, the month where no one wants to homeschool. Moms are burned out, kids are burned out, everybody's tired of being inside. You're not alone if you're feeling like, oh, how am I going to do this for however many more months it is until we're done and ready for summer. But as you are homeschooling through these winter months, where you may be trapped inside a bit more than often and the excitement of Christmas has passed and there's really not anything to look forward to before Memorial Day or Easter, or maybe spring comes a little later to your home. I just want to encourage you to press on. One of the things that we found that gave us something to look forward to was maybe a special thing on every Friday for the month of March. You know, maybe we would do a backwards dinner where we'd start with dessert and go all the way to the first course. Maybe some silly sock day or crazy hair day or a dance party. Just anything that you can put on the calendar to give you something to look forward to so that you can continue to homeschool with excellence through this time and don't feel like you're alone. Everyone's feeling that way, but just have some fun. Don't forget why you're doing what you're doing. Enjoy the people that God gave you to live in your house and have a little fun in the unexpected.
My best advice for fighting the winter blues is a change of scenery. It's good for everybody. It's good for the kids. It's good for the parents. It's good for the grandparents. It's good for everybody. If you can manage a family trip, take it in the middle of winter. If you cannot, some of our best field trips have been like hitting the aquarium on a Tuesday in February. There's nobody there. You get to see every fish in the place close up. Or a trip to the zoo when all the cold weather animals are out roaming around because the weather is the way they like it too. Nothing is more fun. Everybody comes home tired and ready to get back to the books tomorrow.
At this time of year, we would hit the doldrums, and it was hard to muster up the energy to school another day. So there were a few things that we would do to kind of pull ourselves out of that, depending if it was mom who hit the doldrums or the kids, and sometimes a combination of both. So a couple of things that we did was to make sure that we were scheduling field trips on a regular basis. So scheduling time at the park, scheduling an educational field trip, scheduling time with friends, making sure that your kids are not just stuck inside, only doing school all the time. Another thing is to create a paper chain, just, interlinking links of paper, counting down to something, whether it's going to be your spring break, some trip you're going to take, or even just putting the books down for a week. If you have an end in mind, it makes homeschooling that much easier because you know you're going to get a break. And if it's mom who needs a break, there were two things that encouraged me. First of all, I scheduled time away from the kids. So I would go to my husband and say, I need a break. So whether it's a weekend where I could get away with some friends, we would have a coffee date, or even if I could just go browse the bookstore by myself, or even just grocery shop by myself, it was enough of a break that it would re-energize me for the upcoming week. Or the other thing that would get me excited again is when the Sonlight catalog would come out, because then I would start dreaming about next year and the new materials, the new books, the new adventures we would have. And oftentimes just reading that catalog and thinking about, we can't start that year until we finish this year, was enough to kind of cheer me up. And I would make a plan of, what I needed to order and the workbooks I needed to replace for that second child. All those kinds of things would get me fired up for that next year. So try some of these things and see if they help you get out of the doldrums.
Hi friends. My favorite tip for mid-year motivation is to plan ahead. The Bible says without vision, the people perish. And I do find that vision for what's next, for what we've done and what we are doing next, helps me, it helps my students, and it helps us to go forward and know what we need to finish and get motivated about finishing up, closing up the loose ends for this year and getting ready and seeing how that's going to fit in with what we're going to do next year. If someone's lagging behind on something, this is good motivation for them. And it helps. And it also helps me to get my planning started so that I can know what I'm going to budget for the year and look at the sales that are available and upcoming so that I can decide which ones I want to take advantage of. So this is a great time of year for that. So planning ahead gets me excited about the new year. So I hope that helps.
Sometimes even when you are in a really good routine and things have been going so smoothly, you can get into a rut, especially about this middle time of the year. So think about some way to completely change things up one day and do something totally different. Maybe pick a day to stay up really late and do some extra chapters in the read aloud and eat some popcorn, or stay up late, snuggle in bed and read a little extra and then sleep in the next day to make up for it. Any little thing that might change things up where you are still accomplishing what you need to accomplish, but make it a little bit more fun.
Something that we like to incorporate into our homeschool to make it a little more fun and to stay more motivated is getting outside whenever we can. And one of the ways we do that is we go to as many national parks as we can when we travel around. I've got my son with me here. He's our 4th grader. And this year, he is our ticket to all the national parks with the Every Kid Outdoors program. So you can see he's got his own little card here. This is available for every 4th grader in the country. You just go to their website, answer a few questions, and then you get into all the national parks and monuments for free for the whole year. So this is something fun that we like to do if we're struggling to stay motivated. The Junior Park program, or the Junior Park Ranger program, incorporates a lot of cool things that you can learn at all the different national parks. And so we've been going around collecting as many junior park badges as we can. How many do you have so far?
9. This is going to be my 10th one.
So we're at our 10th national park since we started doing this. But again, we get in free since he's in 4th grade.
One of the things I do to try to spice up my homeschool day is smile. It seems like such a simple thing, but sometimes we need to be reminded not to take everything so seriously. So do whatever you need to do. Put a little smiley face in your IG, grab some smiley stickers, pop them in there. Try to remember to smile during your homeschool day. Are you always looking like this at your kids? No wonder everybody's grouchy. Maybe just a smile. Tell them a joke. Watch a funny YouTube video that'll make them laugh for a couple minutes. Do something to bring some levity to your homeschool day.
Hello and welcome to this month's Homeschool Helps and Hacks. We are going to be talking all about mid-year motivation. So if you feel like you are kind of in the slump, the wintertime doldrums, or you feel like there's a lot more weeks left of your year and you're ready to be done, hopefully we will be able to get you back on track and give you some extra tips for motivation to get through the end of your school year. My name is Sunny. I'm Sonlight's Community and Social Media Manager, and I'm also a Sonlight mom to 2 children who have been educated with Sonlight since the beginning. They are now in 4th grade and 9th grade. So we've got elementary and high school happening over here, but I'm being joined by 2 of your Sonlight mentors, Amber and Ann. So we'll start with some introductions. Amber, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Amber Severance, and I have 5 children. I've graduated 4. I've got an 8th grader. We are currently doing level J, History of Science. So we've had a really fun time. So my daughter's in 8th grade, and it's been a good year. So happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Ann, I'll let you go next.
All right, my name is Ann. Keebler is my last name, and I have one child left at home that's homeschooling. She is a senior, so I'm very rapidly working my way out of my job of homeschooling. She is, doing the senior thing, so government economics, it's time for that. And I do have one graduate, and he is finishing up his sophomore year in college this semester. And so it has been, a great journey all the way around.
Well, perfect. Thank you both for being here. Between all of us, we have a lot of years of homeschooling, so we definitely have all had the ups and downs that come with that, and would love to share our helps and hacks with you. Let's start, though, by maybe some ideas for simplifying your routine or determining maybe those things that you're making harder than they need to be, just to make your days a little better.
Yeah. Who's going first? I'll go first. Let's see. I think one of the big things is just making sure that you don't put too much pressure on yourself, right? So sometimes, especially as a new homeschooler, you look at your IG and you see that there are 5 days or 4 days. And if you get off of that on any level, right? So oh no, this is Friday and I haven't even made it through the 3rd day. It's okay. It's okay. The instructor's guide is just that. It's a guide. See it as a friend, not as a police officer or a soldier that's holding you to account. It's a guide. It's a friend. And I've even found in the younger years that sometimes if I felt behind, I would take Friday to double up on some readings or something, especially if I had a 4-day schedule. If I had a little extra time on Friday, if that's important to you to stay on that week or you're going to go nuts, just know that there are opportunities to double up. So I think that's one way that you could maybe simplify a little bit, is to not put so much pressure on yourself that the guide has to be followed or someone's going to knock on your door and take you to jail.
Yeah. I think another category of our lives where we can feel some pressure also are things outside of school. You don't want your children to miss out on all these activities that there are, right? And so I think it kind of in this mid-year time, it's really good to kind of stop and think about how the year has gone so far. Have you felt stressed half the time because you have so much going on that you just feel like you can't do it all? And then you can think, well, maybe, this next year, cut down on some activities or things like that. If y'all have too much free time on your hands, you could have the opposite problem where, oh my goodness, we finished our school and we're just sitting around bored all day. And if that's the case, then you might decide, well, it's time to look for maybe some new activities or things like that. And one of the things that with your school, I think you can look at if something in particular is not going right mid-year. Just an example, we discovered, well, much sooner than mid-year, that it wasn't good to save math for the end of the school day. Not one bit. It ended our days with frustration because it wasn't anybody's favorite subject, and it was just really difficult. And so if anything just seems to be becoming very difficult, then take a look and see what you can do about it. Come up, see if you can come up with a solution. Ask all of your friends, get on the app and ask around. Okay, here's my issue. What in the world could be a solution? And for us, that solution was, you've got to do math earlier in the day. I mean, and you have to stick with it, So whatever decision you make, stick with it. And in the end, it did work out for us. We did math first for quite a while, I think a few years, and it went much better that way. And we did end up getting to a point where it didn't have to be done first, So that kind of goes to say that not every year or season is going to be the same. So if you're in a doldrums and you're thinking it's just never going to end, well, it will, because nothing stays the same for too long in your homeschooling world. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I would say, Sunny, stop comparing to other people. I think sometimes we make things harder on ourselves than we need to, because we're trying to live up to some standard that we think, here's the perfect homeschooling family. Here's the perfect homeschooling mom. Here's what the perfect whatever. Pick whoever you think is doing it perfectly. And that's false. It's just false. You have to do what works okay, look, you need to do school. Your children need to be educated. You need to spend time. It needs to matter. It needs to be a priority. But there are a lot of variables that each family has and each year brings. So you stop comparing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think you both brought up great points about, you really need to identify what's important to you and then figure out, is this a realistic goal? Is it practical? Is it something that makes sense for my family, right? So not comparing yourself to other people. Like, for example, I may want to teach everything, but I know I do not have the time nor the desire really to teach electives type classes. Anything super creative or fun and messy, those types of things are just not my wheelhouse. So I know those are things that I'm just automatically going to outsource, right? The kids are going to take those art classes, or they're going to do them in a community setting, things like that. But like Anne mentioned, you don't want to overload those things either, where you feel like you're driving around all the time. You're not actually at home. You're not getting the other goals that you have set done. But I also love what Amber said about letting go of that schedule and not worrying about, oh, am I getting everything done in the day that it says to do it on the instructor's guide? I discovered with my younger child, he really works better if once we get into one book, we just finish the whole week's reading for that one book. He is very creative. He's very imaginative. So it takes him longer to actually focus on what I'm reading to him. So once he's there, don't change it up on him by then pulling out another book, and then he has to start over again. And so what we like to do is at the beginning of the week, I stack all the books on the table for the whole week. And I say, put them in order, what you want to do. And then, let's say the history book's on top. We'll read the history either until we've done the whole week, or until I can see he's starting to kind of lose interest, get wiggly, not pay attention to it. And then we'll move on to the next book. So that means on Monday, we might get through 2 or 3 books. We're not going to get through all of day 1 or day 50 or whatever day you're on in your instructor's guide. But for us, it just works much better. And if I tried to switch back and forth between books, that's going to make it a lot harder for that child. Same thing with my daughter. I kind of let her run her own schedule because she's in high school. And so she likes to take books to bed with her and read before she goes to sleep at night, because that's when she likes to read and she comprehends it better. She's not a morning person. So kind of look at, what's your current routine? What is it that you don't like about it? What is making it hard to get motivated? And I love what you said about math. If you're like, oh, math is hard every single day, well, let's get it done first, get it out of the way, and then we can enjoy the rest of it. So yeah, take a look. And one of you or both of you might have said that your routine changes from year to year, multiple times within the year. So don't feel like you have to be locked into one way, or this is the only way, because you could be making it harder on yourself and you have to. So let's talk about some of those changes that make the day better. I know I talked kind of how we modified our approach to reading the books, but I mean, there's a ton of things you can do that make your days maybe a little more fun or better, or you can look forward to them a little more. What ideas do you ladies have?
All right, so I have. Oh, sorry, Anne. I
All
have
the ideas.
Yes, I was going to say I have 2. I'll give one, and then we can maybe go back and forth. Okay. I have. I would say young. This is thinking about young children, lots of young, maybe 5th and under, taking little breaks between each subject, and if one subject goes into another, pretty easily, don't worry about it. But I usually set. Okay, I'll give myself a half hour to do history. It never took me a half hour to do history at that age, when they were little. So once history was done, if the half hour isn't up, you have 10 minutes to play. You have 10 minutes to do something. Go make your bed. Maybe the bed hadn't gotten made yet, whatever. Or you just they wanted to do something. Run outside, jump on the trampoline for 5 or 10 minutes, and then come back. And then we started the next thing. And so I think a little bit of time to get the wiggles out really, really helps. And even getting the wiggles out could be what I liked to call, and I've said this on other times, the 10-minute tidy. So maybe it's the middle of the morning and I'm just like, I'm already drowning in stuff. So we say, 10-minute tidy. I'll set the timer for 10 minutes. I assign everybody a little spot of the house and say, make it look like a hotel, go. I'll play some music, like turn up music really loud, whatever. And they thought that was so fun. But anything just to kind of break up that piece. Don't feel like they have to sit in one spot until school is done for the day. It's really part of the beauty of being at home is that we can go jump on the trampoline for 5 or 10 minutes before we have to come back to do math. So that's one small thing for youngers.
Yes, and Sonny was talking about having all the books, stacked up on the table. This is what we're doing this week, and I would do something similar. They had ownership, and they could pick what they wanted to do. Like I said, until we figured out math couldn't wait till the end. Okay, so we tweaked that. But in general, they could pick what they wanted to do. But what happened was all of the read aloud things got picked first. Well, we all know why, because those are all of our favorites, all the history read alouds and science books to read aloud and read alouds to read aloud. So they all got picked first. And oh my goodness, by the time I did 2 levels. So by the time everybody had picked all their stuff for me to read aloud first, I was just, exhausted. I couldn't talk anymore. How was I going to go through the rest of my day? And so we switched it up where they still got to choose, but they had to, when it was their turn to do school, they had to pick 1 couch subject and 1 table subject to do with me. And that worked really, really well. So the table subjects, the things that aren't necessarily their favorite because they have to be, writing and doing those skill-based things that can be harder. But you just have to communicate. Nobody balked at it. Nobody said, oh, I don't have to do this, because they knew it had to get done anyway. And so it just worked really well to do that. They 1 couch subject, 1 table subject. And then that child got a break. So exactly what Amber said, the breaks are so important. You do not, I know when they go to a brick and mortar school, they're doing school all day long. But it not a good idea to have your house be that way. Yeah. So the kids got lots of breaks during the day as they needed. And that just refreshes everybody.
Yeah. And then I would say one small change that really helped my life when my particularly, I don't know why, I had my 3 older kids seemed to function just fine looking at the IG to see what they had to do throughout the day. My 4th came along and threw me a curveball, and I don't know what his deal was. So I prayed, God, you got to give me something. He never seems to get through all of his school. And I think, wait, where? So I came up with a list for the day for him. This is just such a small thing. I came up with all the things I wanted him to accomplish during the day. Make your bed, change your underwear, whatever. Seriously, I got into the minutia because at the age he was, he needed it. And I didn't say, I just said history, science, whatever the subjects were. Okay. So I have that list and I printed it out for the rest of the year as the weeks went by. So he had a checklist. He loved it. I did not know what, he was like, oh, thank you so much. It was a relief to him. He had it right here on a piece of paper. So of course, history, he's going to have to look at the IG to see what he has to do first. But anyway, just having a checklist for him, very small change, made all the difference in the world. And then when he said, hey, can I go play with so-and-so, or can I go play a video game, whatever, I'm like, show me your list. And if anything, oh, you haven't practiced piano yet. Okay, off to practice the piano. So it really became just this objective, and for some reason with his brain, he needed it. So that was a very small thing that I could tweak to do for him that made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. I think it's good for you, kind of a different point, but it's good to have something to look forward to. I've always been a fan of the visual. They can visualize, they see these books, this is what we're doing today. But then what about when that's done? What do you get to do then? And so it's always good to have something to look forward to, whether it be, going out to eat once a week, or making a play date with somebody, or being able to go to the park. Take the time to plan some of those things so that they have something to look forward to when they finish their school day.
Yeah, and I love what you said about, your first 3 were able to look at the IG, Amber, and then your 4th one, it was something new. I mean, I think that's very true in all different areas, that what might have worked for one child is not going to work for the other. And I love what you guys said about that visual of seeing, like, okay, here's what I'm done with, here's what I have left. And then, Anne, what you said about planning fun things too. I mean, you can turn that checklist into a reward system. This is something I did when my son was learning how to read, and reading was a struggle for him. So it was not fun the first probably 2 or 3 years that he was reading because it was so hard. And so I created a punch card for him. And as he would read a book, would punch off, with a fun shaped hole punch, would punch off on his punch card. And then he could earn a trip to the Dollar Tree or a trip to the ice cream store or different things like that. And so then, like what Anne was saying, it gave him something to look forward to. It made reading more fun. It actually motivated him. Ooh, I want to read this next book so I can get another punch, because then I'm one step closer to whatever the reward is. So, whether it's you, if you need to reward yourself, a trip out to get coffee because you've successfully completed school this week, or if it's your kids, I think all of those things can be helpful. Amber, you mentioned music when you're doing chores. I like to do living room dance parties. Even back in college, if I was stressed out, I would lock my door, turn on music, and dance around my room. And so just something about, moving your body, jamming out to the music, it gets the wiggles out, it gets those happy exercise endorphins going, and then you're able to sit back down and focus again on whatever you need to do. So make it fun. Don't just make it work, right? If you feel like you're having a hard time with school right now, it could just be that you're not doing any of the fun things. So plan those in, make it fun. Another thing that I think is great is celebrating small achievements. What are some ideas that people might have these little achievements that they're not recognizing them or celebrating them, and so they're passing on by without any fun in the day?
Yeah, so let me say one thing. Celebrating, I think with homeschool, any opportunity you have to make it kind of special. So for instance, Valentine's Day is a big day. So I make heart-shaped pancakes. I color them with a little bit of red, so that's not celebrating an achievement necessarily, but growing up, I never celebrated St. Patrick's Day. Guess what we celebrate in homeschool? Woohoo! We have green pancakes that day, and we do something. I even make green, scrambled eggs, whatever. Just anything to spice it up and make it just a little more fun. So there's almost always some kind of holiday once a month that you can make fun, just to keep things a little bit exciting. And don't go overboard. Okay. Again, no comparison, right? If my kids have chocolate chip heart pancakes or chocolate chip pink pancakes on Valentine's Day, when they're little, they've hit the jackpot. That's enough. You don't have to go crazy, but just a little thing like that. You said about rewarding your son as he was learning to read, which I did a similar system. But then I was remembering, same child, fourth child, was really struggling with enjoying reading, period. Like, he could read. I didn't sense any difficulties or challenges like dyslexia with him, but he didn't love to read. And the kinds of books he liked to read were different. He was the one who liked Archimedes and the Door of Science or whatever. And none of my other kids liked that book. They read it. They didn't like it. He was like, this is cool. Well, anyway, I had a hard time getting him to enjoy reading. So even as a fourth grader, I remember a former teacher saying to me, Amber, do you motivate him in any way to read? Because in school, we would have, you could get the little personal pan pizzas if you read so many books. Children at that age need to be rewarded and motivated. And I had never thought about it because my other kids just liked to read. Reading is its own reward if you like to read. So for this son, and then I always had in my head, I don't want to bribe him. I don't want to, and that's okay. That's just silly. I'm saying that to my former self. So some of you might need to hear this. It's good to motivate. If you do a job, you get a paycheck. You don't say, I'm being bribed. You're doing work, you're getting a reward, right? Okay, so for my son, I went and bought a little thing of silly putty. You read this book, I have a prize. He got a little thing of silly putty. He read the book, he got a little comic book. He read a book, he got those funny erasers, like those, I think they look like food and you can take them apart. I bought a whole set of those. And every time he read a book, he got one more eraser to add to his collection. He thought it was the best thing ever. And he liked to read all of a sudden. He was enjoying it. It cost me almost nothing because none of the prizes was more than $1. It cost me next to nothing. And it really, for that school year, it changed his whole attitude about reading. And that doesn't mean he hugged me and loved me and said, I love every book I'm reading. It just sweetened it a little bit, right? Sweeten the pot a little. Just little things can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's true. We had a little chore chart thing, and just to try to get into a routine of, on such and such day, we need to work on, the bathroom, or we need to do laundry or whatever. And it just had a place where you could put a sticker, if you did something. So, like Amber said, some of these things are super cheap, and really there's not that much to it, but it can be just enough, to motivate you to want to do it. And honestly, for us, all those kind of things didn't really last all that long. They ended up getting kind of dropped off, but they did their purpose because they got the routine going. Yeah, we were just never able to stick with it. Like the pad of paper, was like that thick, and we maybe did a few weeks of it, and then it just kind of got let go. but it did its purpose.
Yeah, and what if you have a child that is struggling with enjoying math, or just says, but they're doing the concepts okay? What if you said every 25 lessons that we complete, every 50 lessons so every 25, we're going to do something. I don't know. Maybe their favorite meal is pizza. We're going to have pizza that night. Or we're going to go get an ice cream cone someplace that's not expensive, or we're going to buy it and make our own, fun ice cream at home. Something to say, okay, let's just celebrate those little things. You figure it out for your kids, what's hard, and then set a goal and then celebrate.
And it could be spontaneous too.
Yeah.
Because let's just say you had not planned to do this whatsoever, but the math went really well that day, or maybe it's not going so well. And like, why don't we get through? Let's do these math problems. And you know what? Let's go get some ice cream. And just spontaneous, spur of the moment. Give them something, to motivate them. Like I said, we were just never good at any kind of long-term thing that stuck. I don't know. It just wouldn't stick. I guess. But these spontaneous little things, like, hey, let's just go, do whatever. One of our favorite things to do to start the school year. This is kind of random, but it's always more fun to start the day when you get breakfast out. And so if we were kind of in a slump, hey, let's go pick up, your favorite pancakes at McDonald's, tomorrow morning. And that was another thing that we looked forward to sometimes. Just totally random little things, but just to spice up your day.
And how about celebrating attitudes, right? Like, what if Dad shows up one day after work with a gallon of ice cream and said, hey guys, Mom called and said that everyone was so cooperative today, and that you really made an effort to get your school done, or to help with this, or Mom asked you all to clean and you all did it without complaining. What if once in a while we show up with a reward for that? And that it just, I don't know, there's something about it that just speaks volumes to what do you value? What's important to you, right? And so, this is important to my parents, that we are cooperative, that we are working faithfully, that we whatever. So again, it doesn't have to be, hey, you all did perfectly on every math test this year. Here's $50. It can be just simple things that even like that, you've been really thoughtful.
Yeah, which I think segues well into what are your goals for your homeschool too, right? You of course have academic goals. You want that child to learn to read and learn math and do all those things, but you do want them to be cooperative. You want them to learn the chores, that were on the chore chart. You want them to learn all these different things. So yeah, rewarding them spontaneously like that, or a surprise, you'll see your kids start to, oh, well, maybe there's something in it for me, right? So even though it may feel like bribery, they're going to start, doing those things that you ask, knowing there may be a reward in that. I know in our home, we limit all the screen time, all the things, until you've done what you're responsible for. And so the kids have learned, if I do my schoolwork quickly and I do my chores early in the day, then that means I'm going to get to do my screen time sooner, whether that be a video game or watching TV. or those things. And so that has often been very motivating as far as like, oh, if I take all day, I might miss out on my screen time because now it's bedtime and I took all day to do my stuff. Something else that we like to do just for fun that still relates to our school is if the book has been turned into a movie and it's an appropriate movie for the child that age, depending on what it is, we'll do a family movie night on Friday night where we all watch whatever movie it was, and it'll be, our daughter read this book this year, and so now we're watching this movie, or our son just read this one. And you can find a lot of those, even if it's not like a recent movie, a lot of them are older movies that you can find various places online. And so that has been something fun that we look forward to. And then they like to compare, like, oh, is it different than the book? Is it, is this part like the book was? Is the book better? Those types of things. And so it makes it fun, but it's still educational.
Yeah.
So let's talk about ways to kind of prioritize. Yeah, what is important in your homeschool? What are you looking at if you really want to simplify and do, what needs to be done because you're ready, you're in that doldrum period? How do you figure out what's important and make sure that you're prioritizing those things while still keeping them fun and engaging for your family?
Yeah, I would say it's interesting, Sunny, when you're talking about this subject of prioritizing. I think for me, making homeschool a priority for me. Okay, so for us, getting done with school by noon or 1 was how it was going to work. And I know, like, for your situation, that's different, right? And so part-time. So I'm just speaking about me, and then you can extrapolate whatever, moms who are watching. But for us, I knew if we didn't get done by noon or 1, it probably wasn't going to happen. So that time was a priority. I just said, okay, I'm not doing anything else during this time. I'm not really taking phone calls. And maybe when I started homeschooling, we didn't have smartphones, but if I did, I would put it away. I'm just not going to look at it. I can't right now. Obviously, if someone calls and it's my husband or it's my mother, I'm going to answer the phone. But we would just say, okay, I'm giving myself to you. I expect you to work hard during school hours, but that's what's important to me too. So coming up with, it's almost simplifying by elimination, right? Like, we're going to eliminate the distractions, eliminate the stuff. Do you try to homeschool with the television on? Are you trying to homeschool with, whatever? So get rid of those distractions. Say, this is our school time and this is a priority. And so we're going to do that. I would say if we were in a really tough season though, Sunny, I'm going to make sure, especially the kids are young, we get reading done, as in they're reading out loud or that reading lesson, and doing some math. And I think that there needs to be consistency. So that's a priority for me when the kids are little. Lots and lots of consistency. They know what to expect. I had a routine for the day that was pretty much the same. We would read science at breakfast, then we would do some table work, then we would go sit on the couch for read aloud, things like that. I had a basic, so they knew what was coming. It wasn't like they knew. Kids need that. They crave to know, to have some consistency. So I guess that's what was a priority for me, especially young. Let them know what's coming, have a pretty good routine, try to eliminate distractions, and really focus on those things that are pretty key at that age, the reading and the math. Yeah.
Right. Yes. I just to add on to that, sometimes we can get kind of so focused on, getting our school done, and making sure that happens and checking all the boxes, that you may kind of set aside another aspect of homeschooling. It's so important, and that would be developing relationships. And so I think that definitely needs to be something on your mind. Every single day, and a priority is developing relationships, because it's hard. You've got siblings, and things happen that are hard. They don't agree most of the time sometimes. And so it's super important. It seems like what happened for a while in my homeschool when the kids were little, it was like either one or the other was just in a grumpy, unsatisfied mood that day. And I didn't know which. I would wake up and it would be just the whole day, one or the other. Thankfully, never both at the same time. That would have been really bad. I was really thankful for that it typically was not both at the same time. We're having a bad day. But when you're with your kids day in and day out, the relationship between, the two of you as mother and teacher and child, and then the sibling relationships, they take effort, so much effort that it can just be really hard. That's definitely something to prioritize.
Yes.
Well, and your mention of siblings and their relationships too made me think of the fact that some siblings work great at the same table together. Others cannot be in the same space working together. It's so funny because my daughter is incredibly extroverted, and when she was little, she wanted to be right in the middle of the action. And so she would stay right in the middle of where all the activity was. My son would usually be playing nearby while I was teaching her, and that was not a problem. As she got older, though, she realized she wants to be having fun and talking to everybody, and she's not going to get her work done if she's sitting in the middle of the action. And so a couple of years ago, she realized she needed to go off to her room to actually concentrate on her work. And then by that point, my son was old enough that, he wanted to pester her or make faces at her. He knew that he could kind of get a rise out of her if he was doing things while she was at the table. Because of their age gap, I'm never teaching them the same things at the same time. So this may not apply if you've got kids close in age or they're sharing the same level. But for my two, it's just easier if we work with them one-on-one. And so oftentimes I will take one child and, like Amber said, cueing them so they know what's coming. I will say, to one of them, hey, in 10 minutes, I'm going to start school with you. I want you to bring me your math book to go over, your handwriting, bring me these 2 books where, we're going to do school with you. And then later on, it might be like, okay, now I'm going to do school with this child. And so I like to prep the kids, 5 or 10 minutes ahead so that they know, okay, now I'm working with you. And that way, keeping them apart really does bring more peace to our day. So even if you are maybe combined for history, Bible, literature, read all that together and then send your kids off to their various workspaces, whether that be their room, the living room, somewhere else, to do math, handwriting, those types of things, the written assignments. That might be easier for you. So looking at that, another thing I would suggest is trying to figure out when is a good time of day to do school. Homeschooling does not have to happen 8 to noon or 8 to 3. Like Amber mentioned, in her family, they needed to be done by noon or 1 to get it done. In my house, we're all night owls. So 8 a.m. is not a good time for any of us. We're lucky if we're all awake at that time, if I'm being honest. And so, I prefer to do school later in the day, the afternoon, which for a lot of people is their slump period. That's actually when I'm like, let's work out, let's do school, let's go do, all the things, because that's when I'm finally awake and ready to go. So if you have kids that maybe are cranky at a certain time of the day, or maybe you're cranky at a certain time of the day, look at maybe shifting your schedule around, or incorporating the other parent. So if the husband is working outside the home, when he comes home, let him do science experiments in the evenings or Saturday morning, or those types of things. Let's jump into that too, support and finding help from other people in your life. You don't have to do all of the teaching, even when you are homeschooling. So what are some ideas for that?
I really like your idea about if your husband, could take a certain subject. One of the things that does take more time in your day than a typical day is whenever science experiment day comes around, it takes more time to get the supplies and get everything ready than just to read the 2-page spread and do the activity sheet. It just takes more time. So one of the ways that you can deal with that is by saving up those experiments and having experiment Saturday at one point. So you definitely don't want to make the IG. We've already talked about this, how your IG is not, set in stone. This is how you have to do it. You can do all of the things, but at a time when it will work for you for sure. So let's say there's a subject like math or something, and you come up with the problem. I had a neighbor for a while that would just text me random math problems during the day. Yeah, how do I explain to my son how to do this or whatnot? So reaching out to the community is so essential because you're not doing this alone. And if you don't happen to have any friends that are homeschooling or a friend that's really good at math or whatever, reach out to the Sonlight community on the app. And lots of times people will post a picture of something like that, that you're trying to figure out how to explain. And we're just all here for each other to help us to do anything that may be, something that's not your strong point. Just reach out to others.
Yeah. And I think, the internet is such a, there are so many helps. There's so many things that you can find. I know even for math, there have been times where I've just Googled in, like we're doing algebra right now, but I might Google in some algebra concept that maybe my daughter, we've watched it on Mr. Dummy do it, and we've done this, but just somebody says it just a little different way, and then, okay, then it clicks, it's so helpful. My 8th grader, since now she's my only one at home, and I used to have, 4 others at home. So we had a zoo going on, so I didn't need this as much, but I have her taking science at co-op, and it's general science. It's the same science that Sonlight offers, but they're doing it at a co-op. And that's been so helpful just to motivate her and make it a little more fun. But there were years, my husband happens to be a biochemist, and he's all into experiments and all of that. And I had a lot of friends who didn't appreciate dissecting, right? Their kids weren't into it. So they would come to our house, and my husband would dissect with them. And that was way more fun. They would do the whole, and you could do all the dissection in a day if you really wanted, or you could take a few weekends and say, we're having a dissection party, and we're going to do, we're going to do the worm and the frog today, and next week we're going to do whatever. So there are just ways around. Even writing. There have been years that I don't always follow Sonlight's schedule for writing, and I might do like a writing class at my house with my daughter. Last year I did this, my daughter Julia and 4 of her friends. So I'd have 5 kids. They'd come to my house once a week. We'd talk about writing. We'd do writing. Julia was way happier to write for me when she knew that her friends were also writing for me, and that we were going to talk about it and maybe read our papers in front of each other, whatever. I had time in my life that I could do that, but pulling some people together and just making that a little more exciting than please write for mom again. That's one thing that I've really struggled with every year. It's just not as much fun to write for mom. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's actually something new coming out in 2024.
Yes.
Sonlight now will have our LAMP program, which is our language arts mentor program. So if you don't want to grade your students' writing anymore, or you want them to practice writing for someone else, that is an option for you that you'll be able to purchase starting in April. Where they will be able to write and submit their work to a teacher, and then you can be totally hands off on that. So that's
for the high school levels.
For the high school, yes,
levels.
excuse me. Yes, for just the high school. There's 4 high school levels that will be available for in 2024. Hopefully we'll have more as time goes on. But that's something to look forward to.
I didn't even do that on purpose, Sonny. I didn't just for the viewers out there. We did not plan that. I just was thinking that's my hardest thing. If I have to be honest and choose something, that's my hardest.
Yeah, that or math. I know sometimes upper level math can get hard. Lisa, one of your other Sonlight mentors, has been a math tutor for many years for other families. So there's options like that too. You don't have to teach everything yourself. You can hire someone or find a class. A lot of co-ops, like you guys said, it's just more fun to do experiments sometimes in a group. It's a lot easier too, because then you set everything up once for everybody, and you have lab partners and learn all of that. So there are a lot of options like that, oftentimes locally. But if you don't have that, definitely get online for ideas. I use YouTube all the time to show my kids the place that we're reading about. As it struck me one time, like even the first time I saw video shot in the Garden of Gethsemane, I realized I had been picturing a garden like gardens I was used to, which looks very different than gardens in Israel do, when I was reading the Bible. And I mean, I was an adult before I realized that. And so it was something that in our homeschool, I was like, oh, if we're reading about another country with a totally different climate than what these kids are used to, they're picturing the world they live in, right? They know what a town looks like where they live. And so we started using YouTube videos to show us like, okay, well, what does that place look like? What language do they speak there? So, I mean, now with the internet, there's just so many options to look up information or things like that. But then relying on your community too. If your spouse is able and willing to help, I'm a working mom. My husband also works from home. So we take a very collaborative approach to homeschooling. If one of the kids is not doing what they're supposed to, I do have backup to say, hey, what are you doing over there? That doesn't look like your math, or whatever. And so I would encourage you, if your spouse is willing to take on any of it, and they might be, and you just haven't talked about it, talk about it and see what they might like to do, because they might want to read the read alouds to the kids at night, or science experiments, or whatever it might be. So definitely rely on those resources.
Yeah, I do have to laugh though, because when I was going to be out of town and my husband was going to be taking that week off of work and doing school with the kids, I showed him all the things. This is what they're doing for math. These are the questions I circled for them to answer with the history. But I wouldn't let him touch the read aloud, because we were in the middle of it and I'm reading that aloud to them. So I was very possessive of that. I did not give that up. That was our special time and I could not give that up.
Good. I'm kind of that way. Yeah, my younger child still reads his readers aloud to us. And yeah, my husband was like, oh, he can read to me. And I was like, hold on, have him read it while I'm making dinner so I don't miss this chapter. And then I have to go back and figure out what's going on.
So funny.
So yeah, but make it fun. You do have the flexibility when you're homeschooling to make it more fun. Hopefully the ideas that we have shared have encouraged you that way. But if you're dealing with something really hard and you feel like you have nowhere to turn, I do want to point out there are single parents homeschooling, there are working parents. We've got a lot of different situations out there. So we do not want to exclude anyone, or if you don't feel like we were speaking to where you are right now, definitely reach out to us in the app if you have prayer requests or you need advice for your particular situation. We would love to troubleshoot that with you.
Sonny, I was even thinking about, we have a lot of grandparents.
We do. Yeah. Thank you.
So even
to exclude that.
No, I know. I was just thinking, I wonder how many of them realize they're not the only one. Like we have several even in our Sonlight community, which I think is really, really beautiful. And it's, that would be difficult. It would be hard. You need support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said there, that you may feel like you're the only one that's in your situation, but get in the app and let us know, like, oh, I'm a grandparent, or oh, I'm a single parent, or whatever it might be. And I guarantee you there are others in there, and it would be great for you to connect with other people going through that, as well as hear ideas from other people within the community. Like we've both referenced, we would love to help you, but there's also other mentors, there's other Sonlighters who have homeschooled for a long time. And I still learn things or get great ideas, especially those fun, creative ideas, like how to organize your books, or, get the rolling cart, get the smaller binder, all of those types of things I've learned from the Sonlight Connections community. So make sure that you are in there with us. And if you need anything at all, let us know.